Silvermines is quite a small village, and that's quite a large church. Anyway, today's going to be a fabulous day because today I'm going on a mini adventure. First mini adventure for ages. And this mini adventure starts at Knock-and-Row car park. I've been planning this route for quite a while. It's the first chance I've had for a really good shot on the mountain bike, and the eventual destination is going to be Slieve Camalta, more commonly known as Keeper's Hill, just outside Limerick. Well, that's Slieve Camalta, and in the background the Galtymore mountain range. Check that out, just fantastic. Oh, this is really steep going down here. I'm not sure if I should attempt it or not. Let's see how we get on. Having the dropper post on the mountain bike really makes a difference. I wasn't too sure about it when I first got the bike, but it's just amazing when the going gets steep like this. But this bit here is just going to be a bit too steep for me, so I'll get off, and while I'm walking down here I'll give you a little bit of a history lesson and one of the reasons why I planned this particular route. Not far to the west of the village of Silvermines, historically known as Bellagowan, there's evidence of open cast mining. There are suggestions that mining in the area dated back to Roman times, though the earliest records for commercial mining are from the late 11th century, though it wasn't sustained. Lead as well as silver were the sought-after minerals. Mining resumed during the 17th century and continued intermittently until 1874. In 1949, a world-class deposit of barite was discovered. I worked on an offshore drilling rig for a few years. Good fun for a while, though you get used to working at height, and after a few lucky escapes it was definitely time to quit. Anyway, all that brown liquid on us is drilling fluid. Barite is used to thicken and increase the weight of drilling fluid in order to control formation pressure, essentially to prevent blowouts. Barite is generally mined from sedimentary rock, though it's possible that this deposit resulted from hydrothermal activity. Silver, from which the village of Silvermine gets its modern name, is often found where you get lead, and lead is often found in barite deposits formed by hydrothermal activity. Galena lead sulfide, the ore from which most lead is extracted, is also associated with limestone. The geological bedrock of this area is a mixture of limestone, sandstone and mudstone. Galena deposits can contain up to 0.5% silver, not especially rich for silver, though other minerals were also being mined. Shortly after barite extraction commenced, a substantial deposit of ore containing 11% combined lead and zinc was discovered and mined from 1968 to 1982. The Magcobar mining complex closed completely in September 1992. Shortly after I made the introduction, a herd of wild horses ran round the back of me and up one of the tracks, and they seem to have settled here for some grazing. With the help of Walk Assist, I managed to get the electric mountain bike pushed up to the top of the next part of the ridge. The views are stunning, though unless you've got a reason, such as getting some nice drone tracking shots of yourself cycling along the ridge, then I'd be inclined just to leave the bike at the bottom, chain it up, secure it and hike the rest of the way along the ridge. A lochin on top of Silvermine Mountain Ridge, and it has been a very wet past 9 months in Ireland. April hasn't been too bad, but the 9 months previous to that have been very wet. Anyway, on the OS maps this is referred to as Argid Mountain. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. And Argid, back in the day, back in ancient times, meant money, specifically silver money, and later just translated into all types of money. It is very boggy here. Squelch, squelch. Well, it's not raining, it's hailing gently, which is interesting. Also interesting is the rocks here are speckled. And another mountain, it's possibly that one there, just to the left of Slieve Camalta, and it's actually called Rock Mountain. On the OS maps it's called Lac-a-Brac, and from what I can discern, Lac-a-Brac means speckled stones. So Rock Mountain, but it's Lac-a-Brac, which means speckled stones. So possibly I've managed to work out the interpretation of that one. And I'll presume these are, they look like limestone. They'll either be limestone, yeah, look like limestone. Limestone, sandstone or mudstone. They don't look like mudstone. I'd say they'd be limestone, judging by the colour. Anyways, not too far to go now. Here's the cairn, though the ridge goes on quite a bit further. I love all the colour schemes, all the greens of the mosses, rich colours. It's definitely sedimentary rock, as you can see there by the strata, and I think it's limestone, but I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. Had the ground been less boggy, I would have cycled most of the ridge, though I enjoyed the time that I did have up there. Hiking it was grand. Now for some downhill fun. There are many beautiful places in Ireland. This spot where a bridge crosses the river Mulkeer is one of them. Ireland has one of the largest road networks per area anywhere in the world, and much of that network is single track rural roads where you'll hardly meet another car or vehicle. Such a pleasure to cycle on. Nice to see a bit of heathland, and I wouldn't be absolutely 100% certain, but I think that mountain peak there is called Boiling Brook Mountain. Hello cows, how are you? And this is the turning up to a rock mountain. This EMTB just eats hills. I'm going places I never ever would have got on the other mountain bike. Without walking, that is, without pushing them uphill. And there are limits to that. So this looks as though it's going to get squishy and boggy and be a peat hag or a heather trudge all the way to the top. So I think I'm going to leave it there. The top of the mountain, a rock mountain, Lac Abrac, is just over there, maybe a couple of 100 metres maximum. But like I say, this is as far as I'm going here, because I want to get to the top of Slieve Camalta, which is there. But first I'm going to check out these self-seeded Sitka spruce trees. That's incredible. I'm very much into forestry. If you want to support this channel, then perhaps in fact the best way to do it is to buy trees from me. I grow and sell eucalyptus trees, and even if you don't have any land yourself, I know plenty of people with a few acres who'd be happy to plant them on their plot, on their patch for you. They reckon you need to plant 7 trees a year in order to offset the average CO2 footprint. So that would be a good way for you to help mitigate the effects of global warming and climate change. But I'm amazed at these Sitka spruce just growing here. Just the thing. Fabulous to see. So the next part of this journey up Slieve Camalta requires that you cross over a small stream called Glashglana stream. I'm sure I haven't pronounced that correctly. I'll put the wording up on screen. Anyway, they've been doing a lot of clear felling of forestry in this area, and in some ways that's a good thing. I've taken a wee detour up the west side. There was a forestry track up the west side of Rock Mountain, Lac Abrac. I still haven't seen any speckled stones here. There were plenty of speckled stones on Slieve Argid, Mountain of Silver, and from here you get a spectacular view of the entire ridge of Slieve Argid. It's just beautiful, stunning. Gorse is just beautiful. There's been lots of it this year. If there's one thing that has thrived and survived all the wet weather, it's the gorse. And here's the stream with the stepping stones, and it's just incredible how I'm getting up some of these slopes on the bike. This is pretty steep. Certainly wouldn't be doing this on a normal non-electric bike. And these wee bumps for sure. would be an absolute showstopper. Not sure if they're coming out on the screen. This is just incredible. Really enjoying it. Just such an amazing way to get exercise, to keep fit. As I said in a previous video, nothing beats the bike. Just so much more control at lower speeds. Gobsmacked, I really am. Incredible. EMTBs, electric mountain bikes, are phenomenal. That steep, narrow, loose rocks, and I made it up there. I wouldn't have made it up there on a normal bike, on a normal full suspension mountain bike if I was in my 20s. So I'm a lot more than 20 now. That's just incredible. I'm gobsmacked. Anyway, now I'm here. I have a choice of 3 directions. I doubt Slieve Camalta, I'll get to the summit of Slieve Camalta down that way. It's possible that I might get to Slieve Camalta that way, though I planned this on Google Earth and also Outdoor Active. They're both definitely my recommendations. I'd caveat Google Earth in terms of I'm using a big screen, so it's easy to zoom in and see the detail rather than doing it on your phone. However, the phone app for Google Earth works well too, and you can save your projects so that when you're out on the bike, providing you've got an internet connection, and most places do these days, then it'll track you and show you exactly where you are. But Outdoor Active, formerly View Ranger, is also superb, and the reason why I like that so much is because you get the ordnance survey maps, so you get to see all the historic place names and all of the geographical features like contour lines. So here's my next turn, and I've just checked this on Google Earth, and I hang a right here, so to speak. I've certainly been doing a lot of work on the roads, just newly surfaced. Can't see that there's any mature trees here, maybe further up here. This is definitely them preparing to do logging in the area, so I'm glad I'm doing this route now, because once they start doing logging, then they won't allow you up here. And here's my last turn. And they really have been doing a lot of work on the roads. This would sap the energy out of you on a normal mountain bike. Okie dokie. So this is the last steep section up to the summit, and this at this stage of the game on a normal non-electric bike, mountain bike, I would be pushing if I'd made it this far. So it really does just take the sting out of everything having an electric mountain bike, and the views here are just stunning. Almost there, maybe another kilometre or so to go. I wanted to show you the views. They are spectacular. I would think that shiny bit, centre of shot there, is the Shannon Estuary. It's cloudy over the Galtymore Mountains, but I do have some footage from a previous trip up here. You can also get up here from another car park, which is down there somewhere behind that hill. So it's well serviced. If you were just doing Slieve Camalta, you would want to come up from that car park, though I wanted to explore a bit more. Just stunning though, really beautiful. Dramatic with the dark clouds as well. And here we are, the top of Slieve Camalta. At 694 metres, this is a good 200 metres higher than the tallest part of Slieve and Argid. Hopefully I'm getting the pronunciations right, I really do hope I am. Anyway, it's pretty raw up here, as they would say in Scotland, a strong cold north wind. So I'm not going to hang around. I will risk putting the drone up and getting a fly over the edge here because it looks like a really steep drop off. But other than that, I'm going to put my earbuds in and cycle home, cycle back to the car park listening to the Clash. And while I'm doing that, I'll fill you in on some of the history of the area and the history of this hill, some of the myths that go back to ancient times. To give you some perspective on height, the 200 metres, there's the ridge of Slieve and Argid, and just in the middle there, that's the drop off where I started to cycle down through the forest. As you can see, and I'll loop back down the road, down the forest track, and that's Rock Mountain, Lacabrac, as I'm calling it by its historical name, modern name Rock Mountain. It is fabulous up here. You really get a sense of being up high. Slieve Camalta, Mountain of Guarding, Keeper's Hill. A while back I read a reference to this hill which suggested the name derives from the probability that when high ground was offensive imperative, whoever kept this hill kept Limerick, a strategic port with safe anchorage. Considering its strategic importance, there's very little in the way of battle history. The city of Limerick itself was besieged in the 1690s during the Williamite Wars, but the Jacobites held strong and the siege was broken. Still no major battles. There's reference to a couple of forts constructed by Cromwell. Arton's fort. Henry Arton was one of Cromwell's most important generals. He married the boss's daughter, so to speak, Bridget, and Cromwell's fort. Both built around the 1650s perhaps, though I couldn't find any definitive information or the actual location of the forts. Supposedly there's a stone circle on the northeastern slopes known as Fir Barega, false men. Possibly the more literal Irish meaning would be untrustworthy men or men who lie. Much of the lower part of the mountain is commercial Sitka spruce plantation, though there is a stone circle marked in a clear area on the Outdoor Active OS map. Nothing shows up on Google Earth at the same spot. Ancient Ireland was as feudal as everywhere else. According to legend, Sibh Injin Cún, please forgive my pronunciation, daughter of Conn of the 100 Battles, a High King of Ireland, brought up her children on Slieve Camalta. The cold weather's dragged on a bit here in Ireland this year, though it's definitely not the depths of winter. I've just been up there. Sibh and her family must have been tough cookies. That was a lot of fun. A wee confession, the footage you've just watched after this peak of Slieve Camalta I took the other day. It's absolutely Baltic, it's freezing cold, it's a bitter north wind blowing, and I met a guy on the way back down, and we had even though we were in the lee of the wind, we had a chin wag for about good 15-20 minutes, and we were both freezing. So I just hightailed it all the way back here in turbo mode. The bike's been fantastic, really has. Let me just see if I can get some stats up for today's ride. 34 kilometres, 971 metres of ascent. The other day I managed 1300 metres of ascent, and surprisingly only 680 calories burnt. But it was fabulous. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Hope you did too. Thanks a mil for watching. Good luck.